This is the Royals POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Kansas City Royals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Royals POSTCAST on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chance Liebau, and I'm here to bring you reaction to every single Royals game the rest of the season. You can follow me on Twitter at Chance Liebau, but don't worry if you cannot make a show live. These episodes will be uploaded for you to listen to on demand wherever you get your podcasts or on our YouTube channel. Thank you for making the Locked On Royals podcast or the Royals POSTCAST your first listen of the day. Before we get started, remember just to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on our notifications so that you get an alert whenever we go live. Thanks for joining the show, and feel free to join the live chat. Let me know your thoughts on the game, and I'll, do my best to get to some of the comments because the Royals win tonight. They clinch a series win against the White Sox. A really interesting game from all three facets of the game. A very interesting game from the Royals on a lot of different areas. I think that honestly was fairly unimpressed all around. I mean, they were able to tag some balls. They got some hard hits off of Sean Burke. Michael Lorenzen did his job, did enough of it, but the needle just didn't really move for me in tonight's game. Now, it was obviously a win, and you love to see a win, but the needle for me wasn't really moved. I'm not categorizing this team as a playoff team. They're over 500 for the first time since June 10th, but I'm not going to throw up the contender flag just yet. They're 3 games back of the Yankees after the Yankees lose, or the Yankees are in the late innings of a loss to the Cardinals. So they will more than likely be 3 games back of the Yankees going into tomorrow, and an opportunity to win the series, or not win the series, but sweep the series against the Chicago White Sox. You could not ask yourself for much more than that. And so that is going to be the focus of what you'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I think what you'll be talking about is John Rave, a little show and go action. I mean, coming in, Vinny leaves, and it was, a little bit of a, you had to catch your breath a little bit there. You were a little bit worried. I know I was when Vinny leaves the game early, leaves with some heat related issues with the heat index being so high, I guess. I don't want to say hot, but the heat index being high obviously had a factor. And so Matt Quachero had to do what he did. He had to move the lineup around a little bit. He had to put Nick Lofton at first base, had to bring John Rave into the game. And what they gave him was more than enough. John Rave hits a solo home run kind of out of nowhere. He's been, solid since the All-Star break. I'm not going to say he's been good because I don't think he's been good since the All-Star break, especially the catastrophe that was Sunday's game. But he's still starting to hit the ball. He's hitting the ball hard. And I think that's kind of what you didn't really see from him that much in the first half. There's a lot of, rolling over, a lot of infield pop-ups, not a lot of solid contact. We're seeing a lot more of that from John Rave. And I think that's very encouraging. He stepped into a big role tonight and obviously had a great job. The one thing the Royals have done the last 2 nights that has really impressed me and has been really important is they've gotten out early. Mike Yastrzemski leads off the game tonight with the solo home run. Last night, Michael Garcia in the bottom of the first inning puts a run on the board with an RBI double. So when the Royals get out early, when they lead after an inning, I mean, they're one of the best teams in baseball. They continue to it's such a need for them to score early and get a lead for them so they don't have to try and come back. They don't have to try and dig themselves out of holes, because one thing that we've seen from this team all season long really has been a team that is not good when the pressure is on, when the lights are the brightest. So for them to be able to get out to a lead and play comfortably, that's what this team is good at. That's what they are built to do, is to get an early lead and sit on it, because the bullpen is really good when they have a lead. It's a really good bullpen. You can argue that all you want. I'm not going to argue that. I've made my case plenty of times. This is a good bullpen. Now, Bailey Falter did not have a good outing tonight in the bullpen. We'll talk about that when we talk about Lorenzen and the pitching staff today. But really just an all-around solid performance by the Royals tonight. They had, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 12, 13 hard hits tonight, with 7 of them coming against Sean Burke in his 3 2/3 innings of work. They worked a lot of counts. Ryan and Hud talked about it all night long. A lot of 3-2 counts, a lot of long counts. And you got to give credit where credit's due. The Royals did that in really impressive fashion against a pitcher that's not very good. And then also the one thing that if I'm going to be concerned about anything, it's that this still is one of the worst base running teams in all of baseball. For a team that has as many athletes as they do, and they have a ton. I mean, outside of Salvia and Vinny, this is a team that has some guys that can run a little bit. They can stride, but they're not using them in the correct way right now because guess what? They're just too aggressive on the bases. I think that this team wants to be the 2014, 2015 Royals so bad, and they're just not. They're just not. Bobby Witt Jr. is an elite stealsman. Michael Garcia is solid on the bases when he's locked in and paying attention. John Rave is good on the bases. But they made 3 outs on the bases tonight. 2 guys trip up on the base paths. They need to be better base runners. They're going to lose a game because of base running. They already have lost games because of base running this season. And for a team that is as athletic as they are, they just don't make very smart decisions on the base paths. And it's the one thing that if I'm going to be nitpicky about tonight's game, I'll continue to be nitpicky about this team on the base paths because they're just not good enough base runners. So if I had any complaints, those would be the ones. I just don't think they're very good on the bases, top to bottom. I mean, even guys like Bobby still make outs on the bases. Michael has gotten a ton of outs on the bases this year. He's more aggressive than most guys on the bases, but he's also at times not a very smart base runner. So I just find myself concerned that this team is going to get into a spot and a team is going to put on a pickoff play in a playoff game. If they get there, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. In a must-win game, they're going to get picked off or they're going to get thrown out on the bases trying to be too aggressive, trying to stretch 2 to 3, trying to go 1st to 3rd on a shallow single. They just don't do enough to really move the needle for me base running wise. Something that I think they were really good at last year. They just aren't great at the plate or on the bases. And it's the one thing that I would be concerned about going into this final stretch of games here. Late August, we are officially in late August and about to get into early September. So I know a lot of people didn't see this team getting all the way back to where they are. They're 3 games out of a wild card spot. I still don't think they're a playoff team. I need to see them a game out of a wild card spot, or at least in that position right by the 3rd wild card. But I need to see a little bit more from them offensively, consistency wise, to really put them in that category, and also need to see more from the pitching staff, especially the guys that have not been healthy, like Michael Lorenzen and Cole Reagans. And that is going to be what we talk about next. Michael Lorenzen came back tonight. What do we think about his outing? We'll talk about that next on the Royals Postcast. It is time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for rules and entry. No purchase necessary, and those golf tournaments excludes the Masters tournament. This ends October 31st, 2025. Today's episode also brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of all your spending, and finally feel control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Monarch makes it simple to review my finances with my partner, where we can both see budgets, goals, and spending activity in one place. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. I was not all that. I don't want to say I wasn't impressed by Michael Lorenzen tonight. He has some of his best starts are the ones where he gets tagged. Tonight he was solid. I use this word a lot, but he was unspectacular. I didn't get wowed by anything he did tonight. He worked 4 innings of shutout baseball. That's a tip your cap night for me. And I think that it's a positive sign of things to come. Now, he started 2 games in Wichita last week and gave up a homer, 2 homers to a couple of top Twins prospects. It almost hit my apartment. But other than that, I just think that, he's probably best suited for what the role was for Bailey Falter tonight. I think if Cole Reagans does come back this season, that will be his role. But obviously, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You don't want him to be rushed into anything. I think that his role right now, where they have some of those length guys behind him, like Falter and obviously Daniel Lynch tonight, having them rested up. I thought he was fine tonight. Gary coming in and saying he had good command tonight. Yeah, he did. I mean, he was pretty much in the zone with most of his pitches. When you look at it, 45% in the zone, but the sinker was in the zone 70% of the time. That's the pitch he throws the most. Had trouble getting his off-speed stuff across. Velocity fairly down across the board, but first game back from an oblique strain, obviously not going to be blowing up the radar gun. But I thought he was in the zone tonight. He had command. He worked a lot. He had to work a lot of counts. But I think that having those guys in the back end like Bailey Falter and Daniel Lynch, who can give you multiple innings, having those guys available is definitely paramount for a guy like Lorenzen. And also whenever Michael Wacha gets a start, because Michael Wacha is kind of the same way. You're not going to let him go through the lineup the third time, which we talked about the last time Wacha towed the slab. So tomorrow it'll be Ryan Berger, and I have not checked to see. I've been running around this weekend. I know somebody is going to be unhappy that I didn't check the probable pitchers for tomorrow. I know it's Ryan Berger tomorrow, which I'm excited to see his first start at the K. And then for the White Sox, it is Davis Martin, who's not been terrible this season and had some success against the Royals early in the season. So I don't think that this is I don't think it's far-fetched to say they sweep the White Sox. And that would be huge, especially going into the series against the Rangers, who are downtrodden after getting pantsed in back-to-back nights against the Blue Jays. So for them to be in a position they need to sweep this series. They cannot go into the Rangers series at 500. You go in and gets you some cushion at 2 games over 500 and feeling good about yourselves with Noah Cameron, Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo, all lined up to throw in this series, as well as what we just saw tonight from Michael Lorenzen. You feel really good about yourself heading into a 4-game set with the Texas Rangers, a team that you need to be able to beat if you want to see yourself in October. So before we get out of here, let's get to some comments before we get out of here. Shane, resident pessimist, saying Kansas City handling their business. Rave getting the unexpected start and going 2 for 3 with a homer. Is Falter the new Sam Long? I don't know if I'd say he's the new Sam Long. He's definitely got some stuff he needs to work on. If anything, he's the modern day Trevor Cahill, which I don't love. But I do get a little bit concerned that he might have peaked in Pittsburgh. It was a very low floor, low ceiling acquisition when they picked him up. A guy that doesn't strike out a ton and doesn't have elite command. I don't think that I don't think it's out of the possibility that he's not on the Royals roster next season if he doesn't perform well here in the late part of the season. All right, let's continue to look at these. Yeah, LMW saying, hope Vinny was just dehydrated or something, not serious. I would assume it was dehydration or just overall fatigue. I mean, it's been a long week. And like Curtis brought up in the chat, the Ichiro quote about August in Kansas City, you know what it's like with rats in a wool sock. It is hot in Kansas City. And they've mentioned the heat index. It is not easy to play in that kind of heat. Trust me, I recently played summer ball here in the state of Kansas. So it's not very fun to play in these games in the summer. Looking through some of these, one of our listeners says that Cags had a double in tonight's game in Omaha. I think Cags is probably factoring into the Texas series. I know it's going to be a question. I know that somebody asked it here that he asking about, of course, Jack Caglione when he comes back. I figured he'd probably come up in the Rangers series, especially since minor league baseball all have an off day on Monday. Give him the travel day Sunday to get him back down here, and he'll probably be on the roster in the Rangers series. And I would imagine, oh man, I would imagine that Rave gets called down, but after tonight's game, I don't know. Maybe it's Tyler Tolbert. I obviously not a huge Tyler Tolbert fan, but he's very versatile. He plays a lot of different positions, but I don't know. It just depends on what they want to do. All right, let's get to some comments. Gary bringing up Lorenzen's command. Chris, can we expect Cags back for the Rangers series? I would imagine so. He's been playing some outfield, been playing some first base, so I would imagine that he's going to be maybe a platoon bat here. I don't think that he's going to be any kind. I don't think he's going to be an everyday player like he was when he first got called up. Let's look at these. A lot of people talking about the stadium. What in the world are we talking about? We're talking about a series win here. Chris asked, what's the last Royals game I've been to in person? It was the Skubal Waka 1-0 game. I think it was May 31st. That was the last game that I went to. It was the Moustakas retirement ceremony. That was the last one that I was at. And probably I don't plan on going up to another game anytime soon. Obviously, doing the show it doesn't allow me the possibility to do that. And now that football's starting, I like to be in my living room with a cold beer in my hand and a pizza on the way. So I probably will not be making it up to very many games here anytime soon. Somebody asking where India was tonight. I do not know. I didn't hear him talk about it on the broadcast, and definitely don't have any inside sources, but I would imagine that he just got a day off. They wanted to see what Randall Grichuk could do. Q didn't want to be too picky with lefty righty in the lineup. That is my guess, but obviously no sources there. All right. Appreciate you guys for being with us here tonight. We will be back tomorrow afternoon, probably 4 o'clock. So we'll be back tomorrow for another edition of the Royals Postcast. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the Royals Postcast.